So let's get started. Start with who you are and what your goals are. Here you are. You've been in business for maybe 10, 20, 30 years in your community, and maybe you have a huge roster of dependable customers. On the other hand, you might just be starting out and looking to land, your first few customers in the coming weeks or months. In either scenario, though, you have employees, you've got techs, you've got a shop, back office, a lot of equipment, bills to pay. Whether you're a veteran or new guy or gal on the block, you know that your customers are really driving the success of your business. So I talk with business owners all day and every day, and they tell me that referrals and word of mouth are the best customers. There might not be enough of that, though. So how do you grow word of mouth? We're going to talk about that a lot today. And first, that starts with really understanding who that customer is. So at Broadly, we have this persona we like to call Elsie. And as a marketer, I like to think of your customer as a modern consumer. So think of Elsie as your modern consumer of 2017. So Elsie's married. She lives in Pleasanton, California. She owns a house. She has a couple kids. She works full-time as a school teacher and spends her spare time shuttling her kids to practices and tutoring sessions. So you might find that Elsie resembles you in many ways, or certainly your average customer. She's well connected. So if Elsie needs an answer to an everyday question, she's going right to Google. If she's looking for a restaurant in her area, she wants to try something new, she might be going to Yelp to learn about the experiences of others. If she's booking a vacation for herself or her family, and she won't do anything before going to TripAdvisor. So the reality today, as you well know, is that the internet is now in our pockets. We don't have to be tech savvy to utilize it in our everyday lives. So when somebody like Elsie or you or I need to solve a problem and find a local business, whether that's a pediatric dentist for our kids, a roofer to repair a leak, or a service technician for an auto repair or a maintenance issue, we may turn to our smartphones or our computers. And in fact, we're not alone. 80% of consumers are doing the same thing. They're going to a search engine, most likely Google, to find that local information. So what does that look like for the consumer? You've seen this before. This is a familiar screen, whether you're on a mobile device, a laptop, an iPad, something else. Your customers and you and I are searching on Google when we have a need or problem we want solved. So in this scenario, let's say we're Elsie. Let's say Elsie's looking for auto service in her area and she isn't sure who to call. What we're going to do is dial up Google. Let's take a look at what comes up, this particular search inquiry. So when you do a search like this in Google, toward the top, you'll see a map with 3 choices. We call this the Google 3-pack. You see a bunch of links below that 3-pack called the organic search results, and you might even see some links above this. Those are the Google ads. So if you were to type in your category and your area, hopefully you're showing up in this 3-pack or just below it. Many of your competitors certainly will. So in this example in Pleasanton, think about who you're going to choose and what stands out. You've got 3 choices here with RNC's BD Oil, Precision Auto Repair, and a map to indicate where they basically are located. But another indicator helps you refine that decision making, and that's the reviews. Reviews really help refine this choice. So in this scenario, your eyes are really drawn to that top choice. RNC has a 4.9 star rating and 76 reviews. So if you're the typical modern consumer like Elsie, your eyes are really drawn to that. And you may start your search with RNC Auto Repair. So what do these start? How do you get them? Reviews written by Googlers. These are the people who have Google accounts like Gmail. You may be wondering, okay, so how do I get my customers to go here and write a review? This is hard, I admit, but it's not impossible. You probably know already that these reviews are super important to consumers. Consumer opinion is driving decision making. 88% of people are trusting these online reviews. Consumers, much as they trust that word of mouth referral from their actual friends. So reviews matter, and if you're a 5-star business, these are helping drive revenue. So if you joined us today and you may be wondering, okay, I'm sold on this idea. I need to be a 5-star business. I just need to know how to get there. How can I play a proactive role in this environment where opinions are really driving decision making? That's what I'm here to talk about today. You know, in today's environment, it's increasingly important to build that stellar reputation online, and you can be part of that process. The internet is complicated and the world is changing, and yes, you're going to have to deal with Google and Yelp and others, and there are lots of options when it comes to investing your marketing dollars. But I know, and we know, collectively as a business, that there are things that you can do to give yourself a powerful boost in a really cost-effective way. And a huge piece of that is investing in word-of-mouth marketing. So we'll get to that in a few minutes, but first, I want to quickly cover some of the fundamentals, because your reviews, they can't shine unless your business listings are set up. Your business listings need to be set up right and look great on the following 4 pages. And so what are those pages? They are your Google listing, your Yelp profile, your Facebook business page, and your website. So all of these pages working together, they form a strong foundation for your shop's online presence. You may be thinking, hey, I don't read reviews. This doesn't matter so much. I want to reinforce, again, that the data proves that your customers are, and so the customers that you're trying to attract. What's more, if they get a recommendation from a friend or family member, they're still going to look up the name of your shop to learn more before they trust you with an auto repair or service. They also need to know how to get in touch with you. So why these 4 pages? Well, nothing's really going to rival Google, Yelp, and Facebook in terms of being found and chosen by that target customer. This is where the eyeballs are. You want to use these pages to drive them to your website to learn more. I'm going to go through them one by one and point out just some of the most important parts of those business listings. These are the fundamental things. So let's start with Google. A lot of people are familiar with how to use it. We walked through that example. Pretty simple to use, as you all know. If you're a business owner, though, and you're trying to stand out online, the mechanics of Google are quite complex. There are things you can do, though, to take control of that listing that will ensure that you're found. So I want to reinforce why that's important. Google's data suggests that the smallest improvements of certain elements of your listing can make a big difference in driving consumers to your website. And here's just one data point. provided by Google. If you update your business hours, you can boost click-throughs to your website by 42%. That's a powerful proof point, and that's the goal, right? Drive that customer to your website to learn more about your business. So let's take a look at a couple examples here of Google listings and see what that looks like in practice. What you're looking at here is your typical Google listing. This is on the right, Valley Tire Services, Inc. So take a look at this. This is that free listing provided by Google that's going to help connect consumers with your business. It literally puts you on the map. So almost every business has this Google listing, and if you don't think you have one, it might look something like this. Has a street photo of your location, maybe a little bit of information that Google is assuming is true about your business, but generally it's a blank slate. You can see that there are opportunities to make it better. This listing enables you to provide more information. You can provide photos, business hours, link to your website, and show off customer reviews. Every business owner has the opportunity to take charge of this listing for free or create one if it doesn't exist today. So want to take a look at what that looks like once you've done it. So this is what it looks like when you claim that listing and made those improvements that I mentioned. This is RNC. Let's take a look at this listing and understand why it's showing up and why it's drawing attention in that local search. So note how the photos, the additional information, and the customer reviews provide more context about that business. So RNC in this scenario, they've added photos up here and updated their branding, more specific to their location. They've generated 76 Google reviews, and they've attracted reviews. They've given other prospective customers a reason to choose them. So I want to talk about the number of Google reviews you should have and how RNC has 76, because I get this question a lot. How many Google reviews do I need? The answer to that question might really depend more on what your competition looks like in your area. You might need more than 76 to compete, but you're definitely going to need more than 4 or 5. If your area is, say, less competitive and your competitors have fewer Google reviews, it's not enough to have just 4 or 5, because we know that the first few are suspect. They're often coming from family, friends, etc. So you need to branch out beyond those networks and get real customer reviews before you can stand out and shine. What I want to underscore here, though, is by getting the basics right, you'll be more likely to attract visitors to your website and get calls to your business. 5-star reviews really do drive more customer activity. And here's just a couple more proof points. These are directly from Google, emphasizing the strength of that 5-star reputation. 69% of all clicks from that initial Google 3-pack are going to listings with 5-star reviews. What's more, listings with 5 stars are getting 25% more clicks than businesses with a 3-star rating. So how do you understand what your Google listing is doing for you? I want to take you behind the scenes then now as a transition point and talk about how you do this, right? If you haven't seen this before, I want this to make this your starting point. Google My Business. This is understand more about how your listing is driving traffic to your website and beyond, go to Google My Business and log on. And I want to point out some important graphs and charts that you should be aware of in what we call Google Insights. This is to help you understand how customers are searching for and finding your business. And I think this first one is really important. Are they coming to you directly? I mentioned earlier that scenario when someone has given your prospective customer your business name. They're still plugging into Google to find your website, to get to your website through the listing. So that's what that green section represents, the percentage of people that are coming to your business through that direct search. Discovery, that's the proportion of searches of people who are finding your business through that general category search. So that search can be auto repair Pleasanton, as we looked at before, or some other type of search that's related to your business, whether you're in collision, tires, tinting, etc. But if your customers are using a broad category search and finding you through those means, you'll see that pop up in this discovery section of this graph. Google My Business, you can also learn how clients are finding your location. In other words, are they finding you in that Google search, or are they looking for businesses near them in Google Maps? This is where you'll find this information on this where customers view your business on Google chart. And next, this is one of my favorites and also one of the most important, are your client actions. So you can track your page visits, your requests for directions, and your phone calls directly from your Google listing. Again, is your listing driving the right kind of activity to your business? Is it inspiring your prospective customers to give you a call or to take that next step? You can go down into the phone calls as well. This particular view is just showing days of week, but you can also use this filter to understand what the trends are by month or over the course of the year. So this is really powerful stuff, just to understand what's happening with your Google listing and how that's driving customer behavior in your area. And the last thing I want to point out on the Google listing page, or rather in the Google My Business dashboard, is the review tab. This is one of the most important aspects of your Google listing, and one of the reasons why you're here today, I'm sure. This is where you can read and respond to all of your reviews. So I hope you're responding to your reviews, and if you're not today, I hope you make that part of your practice, because it's really important to ensure that your customer is acknowledged for leaving great feedback. So all these features that I talked about on the Google listing, these are free. And if you haven't checked out these fairly new insights features, I definitely recommend that you take a look today. I'm going to shift gears now and talk about Yelp. I will wager that many of you have experience with Yelp already. And you may not think you need a presence on Yelp, but in reality, it's too important, and you have too much to lose in the form of lost customers if you don't pay attention to this page. I do want to underscore something else too. There's this common misconception that business owners must pay Yelp to have a strong profile, and that's simply not true. You can build a strong profile on Yelp for free by using their tools and by building a strong reputation on the platform. And here's why it's important. So this is data directly from Yelp. There are 100 million unique monthly visitors on their platform who have generated 135 million total reviews. So it's a huge player when it comes to consumer decision making. It's not just for restaurants either. You know, put this stat on here about nearly 19 million reviews are about home and local service businesses just like yours. So Yelp really does matter to your target customer. And so I want to point out a few ways where you can take advantage of this platform. So here's how you can take advantage of your Yelp profile for free. And here's a good example of what that looks like once you've claimed your listing and improved it. So take a look at West Coast Tire Service. It's free to take ownership of this page, and what I mean by that is claim it. And here's some of the things that you can do for free once you've done that. You can add photos of the great work you do. You can add a bio to talk about the history of the business, your ownership, your team. You can add your hours, verify your address, make sure to link your website as well, and update your phone number. You don't need to pay Yelp to do any of these things on your page, and you can't pay Yelp to get the part that matters most, which is reviews. This is why people are going to Yelp in the first place. It's perhaps the most popular review site, and they're going to read your reviews. So definitely pay attention to that. When you've claimed your Yelp listing, you're going to access your page stats as well. So log into biz.yelp.com to see that. I'm just going to show you a snapshot of what that activity looks like. So when you log in, you're going to see a dashboard just like this. So here's an example of the Broadly dashboard. You can see what's happening on your page front and center. You can see the number of visitors that you're getting by month, so pay attention to that. Below that, you see this activity feed. You can understand who your visitors are and where they're going from your Yelp listing, kind of similar to that concept with the Google listing. On the left side, you can see a number of options where you can add that information that I mentioned, and perhaps most importantly, view and respond to your reviews. Here's where you can do that. This is the most important area of your Yelp page. So as I mentioned previously, I talk to a lot of people who have misconceptions about Yelp and think they have to pay Yelp to have that great profile. But these are the free things that you can do with your page. So in our case with Broadly, we don't advertise with Yelp, but we don't need to in order to take advantage of these features and have a 5-star reputation. So let's talk about Facebook next. You probably have a personal account, and you might be wondering how to most effectively use this for your business. Many of you may have Facebook pages for your business already. So why is that important? Let's just step back and take a look at the usage of Facebook. Facebook users are highly engaged. They're logging in on a daily basis. 3/4 of Facebook users are logging in on a daily basis. That's huge. I got this stat from a Facebook executive a few weeks ago, and I thought it was stunning. The average user is looking at 300 feet of news feed every day. That's equivalent to the height of the Statue of Liberty. It's stunning, especially when many of them are looking at Facebook on the mobile app. So what does that mean for you guys? Well, they're considering your stories or your posts for an average of 1.7 seconds. That's not a lot of time to break through, competing for the attention among a lot of other resources, we know. But businesses have increasingly flocked to Facebook because they are having success engaging with local consumers. There's over 70 million business pages on the platform already, and 60% of Facebook users like at least one business page. So, what does that mean for you? So, as with Google and as with Yelp, every business can set up a page like this on Facebook for free. You can take advantage of the basic features like adding photos, listing your hours, listing your contact info, and your website and more. You may have done that already. You may have some reviews on your Facebook page already. I want to point out that Facebook, though, has gotten increasingly complex over the years, and they've really expanded their offering. You can now message directly with the business through Facebook, and consumers are finding that as an easy way to get in touch with you that has less friction than picking up the phone. You can also add features like scheduling, call to action buttons like call now. You can also get recommended on Facebook. So I'll show you an example of what that looks like. You might have seen this feature before in your own newsfeed. Consumers are looking to Facebook to get recommendations about businesses in their area. And Facebook creates this graphic here to really help it stand out in a newsfeed. So look at this example with Carly. She's looking for car window tint services and looking to her network within Facebook for some ideas. So her friend Corey has included a recommendation here for tint this, and notice what happens here. Not only does the location show up in this linked listing, but the review really is front and center. So it's important to engage your customers on Facebook and encourage the ones who are willing to write reviews on Facebook as well. So our advice really is to pay attention to Facebook. It's going to be increasingly important to your business in the coming months and years. Facebook's just another way to be present where your customers are hanging out and telling their friends about businesses that they love, including yours. So we've covered some of the fundamentals on building your listings on Google, Yelp, and Facebook and where your reviews come in. And all of these pages, set up correctly, they're going to link right back to your website. So your website's still critical. This is your business's home online, and this is where you have full control over your story. This is where prospective customers are going to go to learn that story and learn about your services and how you can help solve their problems. So I just want to touch on a few things about your website, what makes it strong. There's lots of different approaches you can take, but a few underlying commonalities. First, make sure that your website is inviting. So photography, graphics, that can really make a world of difference here. Create an easy to follow navigation and pointing out the menu at the top. That makes it easy for visitors to get in touch with you and find out that information they're looking for. Perhaps most importantly, and I cannot emphasize this enough, make sure that your website's mobile friendly. So more than half of Google searches are done on mobile devices. If your website is not mobile friendly, Google's search algorithm is going to penalize your website in local search. So you can take corrective action, but first you have to know whether you're mobile friendly. So here's the link to run that test. So write this down. make sure that your website is passing the basic tests that will enable it to rank effectively when local customers are searching for businesses like yours. If you're failing this test, take proactive steps to address each of the issues that are outlined. One more thing I want to point out on the website, a critical component that is sometimes overlooked is customer reviews. This is the most important page on your website. So remember, we talked about 88% of people trusting online reviews by other consumers as much as those trust their live recommendations. These are helping you build trust and providing that social proof that you do good work. So make sure you share them on your website as well. You may have noticed reviews are the common thread across all of these pages I've pointed out today, and reviews will make or break your business. So you may be wondering, okay, I'm sold on this idea. How do I get reviews? How do I get real ones from customers? That's what I'm talking about when I mentioned this concept of investing in word-of-mouth marketing at the beginning of the discussion. So I want to talk about marketing investments and how you can think about allocating your dollars. There are lots of options at your disposal, and I'm sure you get these calls each and every day. So I want to make you think about, or inspire you to think about, looking at these in 3 buckets. We have advertising. You're probably familiar with this. This is both online, offline. It was the Yellow Pages. Now it's SEO, AdWords, display ads, Yelp ads, anything that gets the brand of your business out there. Your website is probably another familiar category. It's likely you've made investments here. You use advertising and offline or online word of mouth to direct people to your website. So today I want to talk about this idea of word of mouth marketing and how you can get proactive and make investments here. Now, after all, many of you say your best customers come from word of mouth. So when we've talked about word of mouth in the past, it's typically been a conversation offline. Community members have told each other about businesses they trust and would recommend to others. And typically for you, this has been great, free advertising. You did great work and you hope that your happy customers will tell their friends. So today, we're operating in a different environment. The word of mouth has shifted online in the form of online reviews, and they're more trusted by consumers than advertisements are. So word of mouth today, unfortunately, is no longer always free. You can, though, make a proactive and smart investment in word of mouth in the form of reviews. This requires both a process and marketing dollars. So what does that look like? First, I'll start with the process. It starts with creating a system to follow up with your customers and ask about their experience with your business. So are they satisfied with your services, or is there a lingering issue that you need to fix? You're not going to know either of these things until you follow up with them, until you ask them. It needs to be an automatic part of wrapping up any appointment. So I'll pause for a bit here and admit, though, that it can be scary. So if you haven't done this before at your own shop, you may feel nervous to try. And you might be thinking, well, what if I'm asking them and annoying them? Or what if I'm putting this idea in their head to complain? What I'm here to emphasize today is that it doesn't matter so much. You have to do this anyways. You have to signal to your customers that you care. The good news, though, is that if you're running a good and honest business, the majority of your customers are satisfied, and you make it easy for them you're going to start getting their 5-star feedback once you ask for it. Let's talk about the how. How are you engaging with your customers to get that feedback? There's a few different ways. You can ask for their feedback in person. You can call them at a later time once the appointment has finished and they've driven away. You can send them an email or a text, leverage technology solutions. Or you can send them something in the mail, like a postcard or survey. The important thing you need to determine here is what works best, not only for your business, but also think about your customer. Which of these methods are they most likely to respond to? Let's talk about the advantages of some of these ways. And I'm going to start with this idea of asking them in person. This might be something that you're doing already. If you're asking them in person, how do they react? What do they say? Are your customers giving you honest feedback in person, or are they telling you what they think you want to hear? Beyond that, though, if you hear great feedback, what are you going to do with it? You know, the unfortunate thing in this scenario is that the good word evaporates into thin air. So I want you to think about this approach in the context of your own business, and whether you're taking it upon yourself or asking your staff to ask customers for feedback in person is going to do the job alone. There's some advantages to this, of course. You're making eye contact, you're making the ask personal, but the downside is that people might not feel comfortable, or they might not tell you everything that's on their minds. So let's talk about some of the other approaches I listed earlier. Paper feedback. Yeah, surveys might be familiar to you. You might have received them in some other context, and maybe some of you are doing these today. The reality with surveys, and you may have discovered this already, is that they don't have a high customer engagement rate. Many consumers find that they're impersonal, too long, and they may be too big of an ask at their time. So today I want to challenge you to think about better ways. Even if your customers do engage with this kind of survey, the information doesn't translate to Google or to Facebook or to your website's testimonial page. You're getting information, right? But it doesn't provide that public social proof that we talked about, that you're trusted, that you provide quality service. So let's consider a better way of communicating, both what to say and how to say it. So I want to implore you not to think about you're asking for feedback, but also just simply by leading with this sentiment of thank you. And I've got a picture of a handwritten thank you here, but I recognize with the volume of clients and nature of your jobs, writing a thank you note may just not make sense for your business. So think about how you might reach out and say thank you to your customers. And here's how we think about it at Broadly. We like to leverage technology to make the job easy for you and for your business. So consider sending that note of thanks by leveraging technology. And here's an example of what that looks like in email form from the Broadly platform. There's a real advantage with technology as compared with other options. So as you can imagine, it's immediate, but not too intrusive. What's more, it enables you to focus on other things like servicing and repairing cars. You can put in a business to become a marketing expert, I'm guessing. So our recommendation is to consider adopting smart solutions to become more efficient with your dollars and your time. You can see in this example too, you can get a pulse on the sentiment of your customer with a simple yes, no question. This doesn't enable or doesn't require, rather, your customers fill out a lengthy survey. Get a pulse on them and their experience quickly. For example, if they say yes on that note, they can go straight to your Google page and make it super easy to leave great feedback if they had a great experience with your shop. You can also direct unhappy customers to other destinations and collect their feedback privately and offline. So that same note of thanks can come across in a text like this. Again, this is an example from Broadly. We can help you reach customers by email or text to ensure that they leave you feedback. By putting a system in place that works like this, you're going to start to get reviews. And by getting reviews, you're going to start showing up higher in those local search results and attracting new customers. I'm going to touch on one final thing here, and that's negative feedback. Perhaps you know from experience how much a negative review can hurt. It really hurts when Google or Yelp won't take those reviews down even when they're full. It hurts when other potential customers can see them as useful in their search. So hiding from this, unfortunately, is not an option, and you may have discovered that already. If you haven't seen your pages, it doesn't mean that they don't exist. So doing nothing can lead to very few reviews in general, especially in this case, Brynick Tire and Auto Center. 2 reviews, even though one is fairly good, unfortunately, the low volume of reviews, even one negative review is going to significantly impact their overall star rating. So here's the deal. The best strategy to combat a situation like this is to get more positive reviews. So those 1-star reviews make less and less of an impact when they're surrounded by loads of 4- and 5-star reviews from your happy customers. So for many businesses, especially those in competitive areas, again, reviews mean revenue. So here's that example I showed at the beginning, RNC Auto Service, Pleasanton, California. So they made an investment in Broadly to generate reviews quickly and easily from their customers. And by making that investment, they significantly improved their online presence in their area, and they've been able to invest in their business. So these are powerful proof points, and this is one of our ultimate goals. The goal here is to become a 5-star business. This ensures you show up, you stand out online, you can attract the type of customers that you want. You can charge prices for the service for 5-star business commands, and you can establish yourself as that premium choice in your area. So I hope that was useful, and I hope it was clear that feedback and reviews are the currency of the internet today. I hope I gave you food for thought in how you can take proactive steps to fix your listings and get a system in place that works for you and your customers. If you haven't looked at your listings or reviews, we're inviting you to get a free business scan. What we can do is scan your business's listings and reviews and show how you compare with others in your area. We'll also show you exactly where you need to improve with your listings accuracy. So that's definitely worth a few minutes of your time. But as I promised, I want to give you a few moments to submit your questions, if you haven't already, into the GoToWebinar platform. And my colleague Mallory will come on and moderate that discussion. I've included my info here below if you'd like to get in touch with me regarding any questions on the webinar or that business scan that I showed. So do you have any questions?
Hey, Laura. Yeah, it looks like we have a few coming in now. The first is from Jane, and she's asking, how much does Broadly cost?
Sure. So we're happy and delighted we're able to offer you preferred rates. Our retail price is $249 a month with $199 setup fee. If you're a member and if you're on this webinar, we're able to waive that $200 setup fee. And we also have some holiday specials coming around the corner that will sweeten the deal for you. So those will launch on Monday, and we're excited to tell you about those as well.
Wonderful. Thanks, Laura. Second question I have here from Juan is, how do I get reviews onto my website?
Thanks for asking, Juan, and thanks for joining. There are a few tools that you can use to get reviews on your website. There are widgets like that Yelp example that I showed that will pull in one of your reviews and highlight great customer feedback. So I encourage you to employ those from the different platforms that are offered. The example that I showed earlier is an example from the Broadly platform. You can automatically pull 4- and 5-star reviews onto your website without you having to manually cut and paste them. Because I do see businesses doing that too, and if you have the bandwidth, I certainly encourage it. But if you're looking for something low touch and automatic, that's another option for you.
Perfect. And I've got one more question here so far. Should I be using AdWords, from Bob?
Good question, Bob. We get this a lot because we know that they're powerful and effective when set up right. So for those of you not familiar with AdWords, that is the advertising program used through Google. It requires quite a bit of a learning curve to set up. So I wouldn't recommend trying this on your own unless you engage some marketing expertise. Because it can get fairly expensive really quickly. So what I'll say about AdWords is you just want to get the fundamentals right. If you don't have a great Google listing and a great Google reputation, the AdWords are not going to work in your favor. So get the fundamentals right. If you're competing in a highly populated area and if reviews and other tactics are not doing the job alone, this could be an option that you explore. But I recommend engaging with a local marketing agency or someone who knows what they're doing to help you navigate the complexity of AdWords campaigns.
Wonderful, great insight, Laura. That looks like all the questions I'm showing here.
All right, cool. Well, again, here's my contact info. Visit us at Broadly.com. Reach out to me if you have any follow-up. We so appreciate your engagement and your partnership and hope to hear from you soon. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.